All right, let's get started. It's like what I thought was the worst time to have this BoF, and I think it's the best turnout. It's like the third time I think I'm running one of those. I'm Benjamin, the developer advocate and documentation manager for the Zephyr project. So this is not your regular talk. It's a birds of a feather session, which means that I have probably less slides than I would typically do, and this is going to be, I hope, really, really interactive. Sharing a bit of what happened recently in terms of documentation and documentation infrastructure, and gather your feedback, either in terms of what's there and that we could improve, or things that we could do even more of going forward. So, rough agenda, like I said, some recent improvements. One thing that I really want to discuss is how we can improve the way we structure the documentation, especially from a homepage standpoint, but then it sort of trickles down into the entire organization, basically, of the content, but making sure that we really cater to the different audiences, because, like, of course, Zephyr is a lot of things, but some people really only care about building applications and not necessarily care about writing their own drivers or building and porting their boards. And for some other folks, it's the other way around. For some other folks, it's a bit of both. So a few other topics, but some of the recent updates and some short demos maybe for those who've missed it. There's always some like goodies hidden here and there that maybe you've missed. So just sort of want to remind you about those. The interactive code sample catalog, I think, is not so new anymore. It's probably was introduced a year and a half ago, allowing people to search code samples more easily. The way to search boards, however, that I think is really new and still like basically interested in getting feedback. I will be demoing that in a bit. All things board documentation, basically API. Built-in search, more guidelines. So basically one thing that I think is really, really interesting is looking at Zephyr documentation only a short year and a half ago and see how things have improved. So homepage a little bit, but we will see that I think we can do much better there. Things like the samples. It used to be a big dump, flat dump of here's the code samples we have. Yes, sure, we have hundreds of them, but go figure which one might be the most useful to you. So it's now way more interactive, and you can search by keywords. And if you browse the documentation of a given subsystem, you automatically have a short list of all the samples that might be relevant, that kind of stuff. Supported boards, same. It used to be a pretty flat dump of the, I guess back then, 400 or 500 boards we have. Now it's over 800 plus the shields, and you can search by SOC, you can search by vendor, by capabilities. You want a board, you know that you want a prototype on RISC-V with some kind of display and flash. What are the boards that are readily available for you? So yeah, it looks overall better, I hope, including what you see on the right-hand side, showing you the list of supported features that a given board has. If someone already did the work of writing a flash driver for this particular board that you're interested in, you know immediately whether it's available. So yeah, that's some of the things that happen. Do people have feedback, thoughts on that? Like specifically, I guess the board stuff, because it's still really fresh. I know some people have helped. They were thankful. Thank you to the people who've helped make a contribution. It took many years, basically, many years for me into the job of documentation manager to get PRs that are basically helping fix the documentation infrastructure, which is really, really nice to see. So some of the backend for this, there were some really nice contributions from Arduino, Silicon Labs, and a few others. Are there, like, do people have thoughts, like, are you actually using it? Because that's, I guess, one thing where we could start, or, because I think some people still use the old way to browse the boards and stuff. So thoughts and feedback on that aspect. And if you don't, we can just move on to the other topic I had. But yeah, Briggs, please. Right. Oops, I just spoiled my demo. Oops. But yeah, basically I want some kind of Nucleo thing with like an STM32F4 or F7. I don't really care about the vendor. Maybe it will be ST Micro, maybe it will be something else. And yeah, well, let's see what we have. And all the Nucleos are there. Well, I guess Nucleo is going to be ST. Yeah, or are there some Arduinos that use STM32F4? I typed ARG, but yeah, I think you get the idea. Any other feedback? I think at some point, actually, now that I think it's sort of like well established and becoming the reference, I would love to actually get rid of these on the left-hand side. I don't think we need it anymore, including like those. They're still here because I kind of need them to build some of the stuff, but I could probably hide them. Because like anyone who, for whatever reason, stumbles upon this, maybe because Google or Bing or whatever took them here, they actually don't know that we have a really, really nice catalog. Like this still exists. Or maybe it should be a redirect, automatically redirect to basically the equivalent, which is going here and instead filtering to get only analog device. That's effectively the same content, except that it's arguably better, right? You have them, and you can filter further even. And yeah, and by the way, the shields are showing up now as well. So should I be interested only in ADI shields? And there aren't any. I should have. There were? Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, okay. I was stuck on the 0. Yep, there are. I knew there were. Yeah, and I mean, you get the idea. Many of you have probably played with that, but I want one with a display. Wasn't there one with a display? Okay, interesting. Well, actually, let's do the experiment. Yeah, well, whatever. It's probably it might not be a display. It might be an aux display, which would be sort of a different type. Yes, please. Yes. So, well, one, we could make it look nicer for one. Two, to your point, we are listing the bindings per vendor. We're not having any kind of summary per binding type. So, like getting a short list of what are all the available bindings, hence likely drivers for, say, display drivers and display controllers. There's not really a good way to see that. So yeah, that's yes, Pete. Yeah, so that's an interesting one. I guess it would be nice to sort of make sort of a list of like, obviously, as I think you realize, like right now, we're not making any assumption of, or like, there's no special treatment, except maybe for CPU right here showing at the top. Everything else, every information that we sort of extract from device tree, everything is treated equal. But yeah, making the GPIO connectors, which actually they show up there, like they are having some code that makes them special and making it easier to search either by compatible or by some other kind of concept, I think would be good. Similarly, and I think Yuval, interestingly, this board doesn't seem to have sensors. But yeah, should the board have sensors? I guess some people might be interested in searching by specific sensor capabilities. I want a barometric pressure sensor, or and whether they search by compatible or by like actual class of sensor, I think would be interesting. But yeah, how to prioritize all that? Is it really a good idea? Similarly, I guess we can kind of probably get a good guess as to how much RAM and flash the board has. Kind of, it depends how it's being defined and stuff. Do people want to search by those kind of capabilities? Probably, but can we make it so that it's accurate? I don't know. Other, yeah, Peter?
So there's a nice addition when you try to compile for, or you run a Rust command, but it doesn't find the board. It now says like, did you do this one? Then you can send it into the search interface as well. If you do that in result, you can do kind of the.
Oh yeah, and how does that? So the question is, or the comment with West, when you try to compile against a board where you mistyped the name or the name just doesn't exist, it suggests you. But how does it do it? It has to be reasonably accurate, though. It's just when you forgot to be specific enough, right? Yeah, I think it's when you have only when you have ambiguities, but you still need to be mostly correct in what you type. Right. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I mean, so for that, everything UI and UX related here. Anyone who wants to help is most welcome. Just as a warning, for the lack of a better word, it's actually tricky. Like it gets tricky really easily. Some people have asked, for example, hey, when I select ARM here, remove everything that's never ever going to work. But then there's never a perfect solution because maybe you change your mind. You've selected ARM. Anyone? I mean, you know what? If you've been on Mouser or like those kind of websites, you know what I mean. Like it's kind of tricky to provide a search UI, but yeah, it goes after all the use cases. Chris, please. Which I kind of am already to some extent because it's basically behind the scenes for sort of like getting all the metadata that feeds this UI. It's basically running Hello World, building Hello World for all the boards so that we have a reasonably complete device tree description for all the boards. But yeah, maybe we need more in there. Yeah. So you want me to show you something that already exists? So but it's one of those things where it has to do some guesses, but usually when the driver are following sort of like the best practices, the way the driver is written, somewhere in a very specific way, it makes a reference to the compatible, right? So hopefully the one I will pick will work. But is there a driver for Max 32 CAN compatible? There is. I know it. So it takes you basically to the code. And unless I mean, some drivers are written in a really generic way and like some weird stuff, and maybe they won't be found. That's why I think actually, yeah, I thought the wording was a bit more clear as to there might be. Yeah, it's not because it's not showing here that the driver doesn't exist. I guess it's what I'm saying. Sometimes it won't find a match, but yeah, I think that's to whoever's point. Someone was saying, hey, now that for all the boards, even when it's not Zephyr, I'm using the search. I tend to do the same now. Like if no matter why, if I want to see some code, some driver code for a particular device, I use this way to navigate to it. Other, yeah.
What I'm missing there is the mapping from the compatible string or even from the driver to the APIs the driver implements. That's something that's planned.
I don't know, looking at that side of the room, I see eyebrows. I don't see why not. I mean, especially like we have a nice device API macro thingy. Peter, you're not listening. The question was, how about here, in addition to knowing that, yes, sure, this is compatible, there is a driver, which one could guess, I guess, is a CAN driver, because I mean everything screams CAN there. But getting some kind of link to the actual CAN API docs or whatever, and I guess looking at the device API macro call, we can make some kind of guess there. Yeah, but that requires building. Because just to be clear, for this guy right here, it's a grep basically, and so maybe just grepping device API would be okay. Maybe not perfect, but it's a grep for DT, DRV compat, blah blah blah. Those who know. I've tried doing that. I don't think that works. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then that would be really good. Yeah. So yeah, but you kind of agree that it should exist. Yeah, but whether it's called documentation or belongs to documentation, I don't know. But to your point, from what I hear, this kind of like the way it helps with discoverability of the features and finding one's way around the code base and stuff. Yeah, I guess we kind of. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. But is that a problem though? Yeah. Yeah.
I think the distinction there is between documentation and the reference manual. And I think Zephyr has a really good reference manual as part of the documentation.
I read your mind in the first bullet point.
Yeah, step-by-step guides. That's what I was. Yeah, that's going to say.
Yes. Well, Keith, did you want to?
Just to, on an last point of like, start with the subsystem, is there, when you discover you're starting at like the subsystem documentation and you discover the sample that implement that?
Usually you can, yes. It's so let's see. DSP there. So these might need work. I don't know, but hopefully, well, there's no samples for TSP. I should have. I took a second to think about it. Modbus should have some. So Modbus, blah blah blah. Right. And so I mean, well, those one could actually go because they were manually added at some point, I guess. But the same are here, sort of automatically added. Based on, for better or worse, the oxygen group. So that's kind of the anchor there. If a sample is relevant for GPIO, ADC, and sensors, it would say so in its blurb, which maybe actually Modbus might be the other way around. If I'm now on the Modbus sample, I have, it's relevant for Modbus and BSD sockets. So if I were to come at it from BSD, well, what am I doing here? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, you get the idea.
I don't understand how you have oxygen as a linking. Like I write a sample using Modbus. How does that connect with oxygen?
I think it's from the days where we had oxygen actually sort of hosted in the main Zephyr website. And so in the Zephyr website, whatever we have, the documentation website, whatever we have to say about Modbus is some RST content and then a reference to the Doxygen group. And then that felt like it was kind of, it's an identifier of the subsystem, if you will, the Doxygen group. For
all of this back and forth linkage between samples, disks, and subsystems and bindings and so on. This obviously requires very good structure.
Yep.
APIs, where we put things like, obviously that was always the intention, like you put sample, subsystem, and then the name of the subsystem.
Yeah.
And you can auto-discover all of these things. So that requires a lot of.
But which I think things are mostly clean in terms of following that, but still, even if it was 100% perfect, it's still a reference. We have a perfectly well organized reference. You want to learn about kernel primitives, they all in the same area. You want to learn about OS services / subsystems, they are luckily, and it gets better by the day. I've been cleaning them up quite a bit over the past few weeks. But then, to the point in my introduction, if you are interested in using Zephyr for building an application, sure, it's going to be nice to have those references, but you need more. You need guidance in terms of how should I structure my workspace, what is West, how do I test, how do I debug, how do I simulate, and then if you're more, I've been asked or tasked to write a new driver, maybe you will be more interested in like device driver stuff, device tree, etc. Not saying that application developers don't care, but you see what I mean. If you're interested in learning more about how Zephyr approaches building products, what do we have to say in terms of generating S-bombs and helping people with going towards safety certification, etc. So that's kind of like one way I think we should try and organize the documentation, or at least, I mean, the reference documentation is there, but having some kind of curated content that helps give more like a path. One challenge that I see is that there is another axis, which is possibly, but you tell me whether this is important or not. Should we guide people towards, based also on their level of expertise, which brings another layer of complexity, right? Like we want to explain device tree to people. There might be different ways depending on whether we assume they already know they come from Linux or not, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so I think one thing I've been trying to, so I think we can, to sort of address these, hey, you have something that's a really, really good reference or good reference material, but maybe it needs more organization. I think we can try and improve maybe from a homepage standpoint, which, by the way, right now, I mean, it's been, I spoiled again. So not localhost. So for, what am I doing? Sitemap. Yes, for now, many years, plus or minus a few really small tweaks. It's been those tiles that are, I mean, that doesn't necessarily help you. Like it's meant to be, yeah, here's some pointers, some entry points into our reference documentation, but it's not really opinionated, let's say. So what I've been trying to play with is having some really general orientation for things that probably everyone cares about. What is Zephyr? Which, by the way, that's also one of those pages where the content is probably not ideal. It's like a huge dump of, yeah, Zephyr has threads and queues and networking and Bluetooth and native simulation and then some. And we do mesh and PBGAT and okay. But when's the last time any of you have make use of? I mean, it's well, no. I mean, so no. My point is, yes, we need that, but we need to rework it because it's very stale and nobody notices.
Well, yeah, it needs to be updated. It needs to be always kept up to date. But it's necessary. Yeah, doesn't mean that I or any of the mostly contributors, developers would actually go, oh, I need to check if MIPS or whatever is supported. This is for newcomers, for somebody looking for, for a solution. Yeah, it doesn't have to be us.
Yeah. So, well, but I mean, to your point, it's there. Like it's the first thing. But the way right now the content is structured, I think, is at best stale. Getting started is basically what we have today for helping people set up their environment for the first time, blink their first LED. So it's probably like reasonably sort of generic. Getting a sense of what's the supported hardware with maybe some of the improvements that some people sort of suggested in the device tree bindings area. Maybe this could list and point people to both a list of supported boards and shields, but also the compatibles, which right now I'm kind of like, I don't think I want to call the list of bindings the list of supported devices, because it's not because a binding exists that there's necessarily a driver, let alone a good driver. But yeah, that's a different story. And then, without necessarily sort of like changing the way the reference documentation is structured, trying to provide some pointers that route people to the things that maybe are more, and there might be some lorem ipsums here and there, or maybe not, but trying to see those sort of like three personas. Are they even the right personas? I'm sure if we think about it for more than 5 minutes, we will all come up with many different like application developer with Linux experience. Like, is this some kind of variation of etc. etc. But yeah, so yeah, there's that bit, and then also something that's been sort of bothering me for a while is that in the left nav bar on the documentation, we have list of reference links, which I don't think are really visible for, I mean, for many of us in the room, they probably are because we've known them to exist forever. But for others, like even, yeah, I mean, kconfig options, etc. It's really nice to be able to have it really readily available, I think. So yeah, quick, short, very visible access to the C API documentation, list of kconfig, lists of compatibles, lists of projects enabled by default in the Zephyr manifest. The glossary, I think, would benefit from maybe being right here at the top of the homepage. Thoughts? Yes.
Maybe one thing that could use some more visibility, and especially with what we've done in the documentation. I hope it's not there yet, because I don't browse any whole documentation, so I might have maybe missed it. Like a page or something where you have kind of a list of the features that the documentation has. For example, I don't know, there was a question asked where it turned out the feature was already
Yeah.
there. And so
Yeah, that's, yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair. Like, I mean, I think I've been thinking about it at some point. Then I was like maybe overly ambitious, and I was like, it should be I mean, it should be so intuitive that people will just. But yeah, no, I think you're right. Like a cheat sheet or something. I think for the boards there is something which, well, by default is hidden because I couldn't get it. I couldn't get the explanation to be really concise. But this probably. Was a bit of that. It's, yeah, there's a reason why it's hidden, I guess.
But I think what Benjamin was showing earlier, kind of does that because like a lot of things are hidden right now, and this code actually would make it a little bit easier to find. Yeah. But I mean, by the way, this can be said about not only the documentation. There is always the question, hey, I'm going to implement or do this, but somebody say, but we have that already. I mean, whatever, in a subsystem or a feature or a driver, this is always the case. Usually people don't go look or don't even try to look. And never mind when you document it. People don't look, they will not look. Yeah, I mean, then something very big to find that. Yeah. So, but I mean, the structure is very important, in my opinion. Like what you find in the main page, yeah, maybe change. Whatever we have right now is something I did, I don't know, 7 8 years ago, and it's still there. Yeah.
And it mostly works. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I think we need to change that based on where we are right now.
Yeah, and I this is where it gets tricky to. I mean, one thing that I think would be useful too, until we maybe realize that, hey, actually, even our reference documentation can be organized slightly better. I think first step is really, like I was saying, just reorganize the homepage, and then maybe when clicking basically here, like on the actual application developer section, having a bit more words, like a bit more context into like, because just links might not be enough. Like if, yeah, okay, you're an application developer, go and read, oh, I didn't put a real link, I guess, on this one. But yeah, go and read about application architecture, okay, but can you give me a bit more context about what are sort of the prerequisites and what assumption you're making when you're putting me in the application developer bucket? Yeah, like, so, yeah, other thoughts on, yeah?
Go down a little bit to the tiles for the reference. Yeah, I really like the color coding, and I think it would be really helpful with the API references, like bluish kconfig screen. So when I go with Zephyr and just step on one of these implementations,
Oh, yeah, okay, I see what you mean. Keep using basically, yeah, if we say kconfig is green, then there is maybe a green tint when you're here. Okay, we can play with that. Yeah, I see what you mean. Like, where you're confused is when you're here on the Doxygen API and you don't necessarily realize that you're not on the main Zephyr documentation website anymore. And sorry, yeah, Anas, you were.
Yeah, basically, like for the samples, the kconfig or whatever, we had them referenced in various places as well. So the color coding, it's a very good idea. Then you can always have this in your eyes, start getting used to these colors and immediately know that, oh, this is a kconfig. Because right now, based on in which level you are, a lot of these things are difficult to see.
Yeah.
On the structure and the headers and what colors can actually help you.
Or maybe not, actually. Like, I should just mention that whoever is good at UX and UI, please follow up with me, because color coding alone, yeah, just doesn't work. For accessibility, sorry, I should make sure that everybody follows. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But there, that's a good starting point. Yeah, just adding a small icons or something could be just enough. Uh-huh. Someone else, where maybe. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, what I think would be a good distinction for the homepage would be things you need to do once, like the getting started guide. I don't need to do that every time I want to work with Zephyr. And the
Yeah.
Not necessarily the reference, but also something like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Doesn't like
Yeah, I think that was kind of the idea in having the getting started up there. But yeah, I see where what you mean, and it's true that
maybe
we
the
can probably improve.
learning path could even be another page where it would say at the start, like getting started, and then
Yeah, that's yes. Yes.
continue with the learning path.
Yeah.
Like a path visually.
Maybe, yeah.
And actually this here, like, this shows you that, I mean, when I look at it right now, this looks, doesn't look to me like something that, belongs in a project like Zephyr. This is like, looks like a product, somebody's trying to sell something, yeah? Yeah, I mean, it just looks like this, yeah? It's like, you go into these websites using pre-made templates or something like that.
So you want more purple gradients, basically? Is that what you mean?
It just feels this way.
No, no.
And I don't feel addressed by any of these. I'm not an application developer, I'm not a hardware engineer, and I'm not a product maker. Sorry. Yeah.
So what are you?
I don't know. Yeah. It's none of those. Yeah. I'm a Zephyr developer. Yeah. Maybe that's missing. You know what I mean? Yeah. It doesn't necessarily address it.
Yeah, but that's a good point. I mean, maybe there is just one more missing, like Zephyr contributor, because that's where you would like to look up the coding guidelines, compliance checks. I do agree that navigating the documentation is, even with years of doing this, still surprisingly laborious.
Mhm.
And then with the releases, like from 3.7 to 4, things have been moving. Like I was searching this one page where we explained how Zephyr config overrides and kconfig worked, and I knew it was there.
It is there.
Yeah, it is there. Yeah. Built-in search is sometimes good, sometimes not so great. You know that.
Yes, please.
Talking about the contributing, when I'm contributing a driver, I experienced that it's very hard to find the information, like a checklist or whatever,
Yes.
what I need to do. So I'm contributing a driver, then I get the feedback, you need to do this formatting of your driver.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of stuff, but I didn't find it. Maybe
Yeah, more checklists. I think would be good for. Mm-mm.
I find it hard to use the contributing guidelines.
Yeah, and because it's been mentioned a couple times, yes, just generally speaking, something contributing is missing. I didn't have time to put it, but I don't know whether it's a fourth role or whether it's a right here, like more like a generic concern, which is like all things contributing to Zephyr. But yeah, it should be prominently called out on the homepage. Yes, I agree, 100%. And would that be enough for you to sort of feel like you? This is.
I would actually remove the whole thing. One thing about I mean, the personas are very important, and that's actually a point I wanted to make, anyways, regardless of this, is looking at the documentation in general. I mean, there are areas that are very well documented, sometimes like really very, I mean, talking about subsystems, but there are many which are not documented. Yeah. There's a lot of duplication. There's a lot of duplication where I add something now about, how to do this and that. Somebody else adds exactly the same. Because of the problem of not finding things,
Mhm.
people just go add it somewhere else. And sometimes it's conflicting, And we have talked about it a lot, me and you, Brendan, and so you know what I'm talking. I mean, there's a lot of duplication. Yeah. There is also the level, and that goes to this here. How low do you want to? I mean, do I really need to teach people how to use Git, how to install Linux, how to update their Linux, how to update your screen? Yeah. Or I mean, at what level do we stop? Yeah. What is like really the minimum requirement that we put in place for people to actually start using Zephyr, or do I have to handhold and explain everything? And it's very difficult, I know that. Usually, like, somebody submits, there's this bug, I can't do this, etc. Then, say, okay, then somebody else comes in and adds a few paragraphs in the documentation to address this specific person problem, and it becomes something that we have for years, yeah?
Mhm.
Or somebody has a way to do things with Zephyr in their company, and they want it to be part of the Zephyr project. I mean, yeah, we need to define all of this, and if this is defined well in terms of the personas, then I don't think we need this that type of thing. You know, it should be automatically or organically visible.
Yeah, I guess, and we are running out of time, so unfortunately we will have to, I guess, step outside. If we get rid of, so I don't know why the screen, I don't think it's me, but if we get rid of the sort of orientation at the homepage level, then we do need to reorganize the documentation quite a bit. And my point was that this would be sort of a first step, until we reorganize things, because otherwise, like, it's actually, yeah, due to the way Sphinx works and whatnot, like, we would need to move a lot of things around to.